What up, Internet? New World's team just dropped 2 New World 101 videos for us to check out. So let's go ahead and jump in. Some badass views. Character progression.
Hello everyone, this is
Hi.
Sara Kakuro Lily on the internet. I'm Italian and I'm a MMORPG player. Today I'm here to talk to you about the character progression in New World and more specific about the attribute points, the professions and the crafting. Attribute points
we already know
are
most of
super
these.
important because they define what your character can do and which weapon is gonna use. And you can assign your attribute points in 5 different paths. Strength is gonna give you power if you use a melee weapon. If you use a heavy one like the Warhammer, the damage is gonna scale exclusively on strength. For other weapons like the sword, there is gonna be a balance between dexterity and strength. Dexterity is gonna be the most important stats if you use a ranged weapon. For example, bow and muskets, that gets more power if you have more dexterity. Intelligence is super important if you use a magical weapon. For example, the fire staff or every weapon that use a magical perk. Focus governs your mana recovery rate and the skills cooldown.
I feel like they probably should have put out this video before the game launched, but continuing.
It means that the more focus you have, the more you can cast your spells and abilities with higher frequency. Constitution.
The one thing I want to know is why did they take mana regen away from focus? Like, focus used to give some passive mana regen rate, but with the actual launch of the game, they took that away, and I don't know why. Because for me, there was this fine line. If you wanted to be a magic user, you could go intelligence constitution to just get as much damage and as much health as possible. Or you could go intelligence focus and try to be more of like a mana battery and like have a longer lasting, like sustained kind of damage, but at the risk of being more squishy. But now it seems like there's no choice anymore for a magic user. You just go full intelligence and then you just buff up constitution and maybe get 50 points into dexterity for additional crit. Like, I just don't understand why they would do that. I guess maybe it was too powerful, but I don't think you remove it at all. I think you just tune it. You make it so that you don't get as much mana regen. I don't see why they did that.
Constitution is gonna give you more HP. So if you wanna sustain more damage, you have to put more points into Constitution. Now let's talk about professions. In New World, every player can contribute to the server and to the economy of the game.
That's something I want to do more of, is contributing through the town community board.
Gathering and crafting and
check out more of what that has to offer.
We
I've
have
done some,
3
but
different trade skills: crafting, gathering and refining. Gathering is the most important to get all the materials and resources you need.
I really
for
like that
crafting.
they
And of
separated
course,
them
you are
into
gonna
like 3
fishing,
different
mining,
sections.
logging, and
I forget
more.
that
Then
you can
get
click on the skills and see the plants and stuff. Oh my, I should do that. That way I know what things look like before even going out and looking for them. Oh.
those materials and you refine them, because
I mean, they're not too hard to spot,
cutting,
but like,
you have waving, you have 5 different refining skills that you can use. Crafting in New World is really worth it, because the better you
a lot of
become in
fun.
crafting, the better is gonna be the item that you are gonna craft. For example, if you are a super skilled weaponsmith, your lower weapon are gonna be more powerful than some higher weapon of a weaponsmith that have less experience than you. There are 7 crafting skills in New World, and you can do weaponsmithing, armoring, jewel crafting, engineering.
I just started leveling up armoring and jewel
of course,
crafting last night.
furnishing. Don't forget
Had a lot
that
of fun.
in New World there is housing too, and it's super important. And you can even
I learned that
craft the
housing
furnishing of your house
gives you
by
another
yourself.
recall
Every
point today.
action, every second that you spend in New World matters. So
I was
hope
like, I'm
you're
just gonna save it
enjoy
for the
your
large
character
housing, but
progression.
now
I
I'm
will
like,
surely do. Thank you
maybe
so
I'll buy a
much
cheap
for
one.
watching and for your time, and see you in New World. Bye.
Bye. I really love the music in New World. It's so great. All right, so I mean, it is 101. So like, if you've played the game at all, you kind of know those things. But like, that's what makes me think, like, why didn't they put these things out when the game, like before the game launched? You know? All right, this one's staking a claim. So this one's probably more about territories and PvP. I really think they should have put these things out before the game came out.
Hey there, folks. Today we're going to be quickly talking about how we go about staking
It's
a
Sir
claim
Medieval.
in the New World. The first thing to know is that New World contains 3 separate factions we can become a part of. The Marauders, a more militaristic group of people. The Covenant, more religious-based.
Well, the
and
Covenant.
the Syndicate, who focuses on science and research. We can choose our factions really early in the game after completing some starting quest lines, and then we can join a company.
It's really cool that they decide to have these videos be created by fellow creators. I wonder if these creators had already created these videos and then New World's team just asked to essentially turn them into a New World 101 like official video kind of thing, or if they reached out to them knowing that they create New World content and ask them to go ahead and create something within a specific theme.
Company in New World that gets capped at 100 players. These companies act as guilds for this MMO, and the highest rank of these companies is known as the Governor. If someone creates a company within one of these...
Dude, how do I get my hands on one of those cloaks? That thing is badass.
Factions like Syndicate, for example, they become Governor and you can join them, only if you decide to join Syndicate as well. The second rank below Governor would be the Consul, which is like an officer rank, and there's multiple different permissions you gain
which is like an officer rank. The next rank below it is officer.
access to depending on your rank, like access to the treasury, managing army rosters in the territory wars, and even getting access to the console chat if you are that rank. And this should be separate from the regular company chat too. We also have the mechanic known as the siege window function, and this comes into play if your company owns a territory, which allows you to set when your claim's protection will go down. And this leads us into the territory act.
You can set up when you want to do your attacks.
So the way that war is declared between factions is that you have to conduct PvP-based faction missions to gain influence within a territory.
Which I am so glad that these aren't just go like get so many kills out in the world, and they're actually things that just as specific destination. So go kill a bunch of turkeys and starve their supply. Go survive in this territory for a minute and a half, or take some sacred texts from one side of the territory area to another side, and your PvP flag the entire time. And if you die, then you automatically fail all of them. I think that they did a really good job for the territory PvP and making it actual additional little quests that you do in a PvP area, not just straight up PvP. I was worried that the faction that held a city was going to be really hard to dethrone, because a player, like if they just decided, okay, we own the city, there's no point in going out and around in this territory and doing PvP because there's only a downside for us. And they really made it incentivizing for players who actually want to try and take a territory to do so. I could see where one company becomes super influential in one city, and it just makes it so that over a course of months and months and months, like maybe even just one company just owns one city because like they've fended off so many wars that like a lot of the big companies don't want to take them on anymore. It's just resources that they're losing. So I don't know. It's a lot of cool territory stuff that's going on in this game, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds over time.
You can capture the open world fortresses for your faction, and this will give you various different bonuses depending on which territory fort you claim.
Okay. That's something I was actually wondering. I was like, why would you go claim the fort? I was wondering what the bonuses were, so that's nice to know.
And it also gives you an influence bonus to speed up the declaring process in that zone.
Very nice, very nice. So if you actually plan on dethroning a territory, go take the fort in that territory and then start doing the PvP influence quests.
It's completely filled with influence gained from your faction. The territory will go into conflict mode. At this point, the faction that put the territory into conflict can declare war, but previously it was made to where if your company has contributed at least 10% of the total influence required to enter conflict mode, that is when you are eligible to declare war. In the unlikely event that no company has contributed at least 10%, then any company should qualify. But if multiple companies are able to declare war on the same territory during the conflict, the amount of influence a company contributed towards the conflict status will increase its chances of becoming the vanguard. The vanguard can then choose the army roster and lead the assault, and they gain the territory if the battle is won. Now
Okay. So I haven't been in on a war being part of the lead company. So it's nice that they actually have this. I've heard the term Vanguard, and I'd watched some things, and it makes sense that the people who are part of the company that declare the war can set up a roster essentially of their people first in order to
You can't sign up
to the
or
war.
fight against your own faction, but you can act as a third.
So I'm gonna rewind that a
The
little
amount
bit.
of influence a company contributed towards the conflict status will increase its chances of becoming the Vanguard. The Vanguard can then choose the army roster and lead the assault, and they gain the territory if the battle is won. Now, you can't sign up or fight against your own faction, but you can act as a third party if the leading company were to accept you. So
Could you imagine? Just you're like a Covenant faction, and your Covenant faction is attacking Marauders or something, and you sign up on the defense for the Marauders. You're like, no, I don't want that company to take this. I want my company to take.
So if Covenant and Marauder are fighting with each other, Syndicate can join in on either side and vice versa. You also need to spend money to engage in the declaring process, and this includes the purchase of your war camp. Then comes the territory war battle itself, which is the 50v50
Expensive
mode
stuff.
that consists of 3 capture points and the objective of capturing the territory fortress itself.
I can't believe that those repeating turrets were actual projectiles. Like the fact that they had those as projectiles in the 50v50 war mode, like that's ambitious. I'm glad that they changed it to hit scan though to increase performance.
The settlement management and governing process. The first thing to know is that if no company of any faction currently owns the territory, you can spend 100,000 gold at the fortress to become the first owner. But if you win it through warfare, then the same settlement process after will kick in. There's both company and faction benefits for owning a territory, such as the resource supply carts, housing and fast travel discounts, etc. Each territory has its own localized market and storage system, but also taxes do play a part. The governing company can set housing tax for players that own homes, refining tax for resource benches, crafting tax for crafting items, and a trading tax for the trading post auction house. This tax comes in the form of gold to the governing company's treasury, and this can then be used towards various different things, including upgrading the settlement benches through town projects, upgrading the fort defenses for wars and invasions.
So, like, it's great that all of these systems exist, but it's going to be an elite few who actually are making like the choices here. But it's good for those players who, like, just generalized players to know these sort of things. Like, this is how the process works. Even though you may never see these menus and like actually click on any of these buttons, it is nice to know.
Company can set housing tax for players that own homes, refining tax for resource benches, crafting tax for crafting items, and a trading tax for the trading post auction house. This tax comes in the form of gold to the governing company's treasury, and this can then be used towards various different things, including upgrading the settlement benches through town projects, upgrading the fort defenses for wars and invasions, and assigning lifestyle.
Yeah, make sure you're careful about that, because on the town community board, you can do quests that will help them put resources towards upgrading the fort, and if they're not of your faction, you are essentially helping the enemy.
Buffs. Setting up any of these objectives will create
that top
what is
right
known
corner
as town projects. This is
this top right corner up here. You gotta be careful. If you do these, even though they're gonna give you some experience and some reputation for the area, you gotta be careful, because if they're not of your faction, you're helping the enemy build their own repeaters for their fort to defend against you. So gotta be careful.
community-based way of progressing through a settlement, and we normally need to do crafting and gathering related missions to complete this. Now, the lifestyle buffs do become available for people that are residents in a territory. You need to first level up your territory standing level, which is based on the zone you're in, and then after about level 10 and in different stages after that, you're able to purchase a house. So some houses may require a higher level territory standing and be more expensive, but these are normally the more luxurious and spacious housing choices. You also get a discount for your first time purchasing a house.
This discount for your first purchase is so mind-boggling. Like, it gives me analysis paralysis so much. Like, do I just buy the cheap house and get it right away so that I can get the recall to my own housing and get the additional storage capacity and start getting the trophies on the walls that give me buffs? Or do I save up and try to get the more expensive house because I'm saving more in the long run? Like, I don't know if I'm going to be easily be able to make a choice. Like, I still haven't made a choice, and I'm kind of hoping that I can just save up to the 10,000 so that I can get a very high tier one.
So this is another thing that's important to keep in mind. There's different things that you can do with the house, such as placing down house trophies that can be obtained and crafted. These will offer different bonuses to your characters, such as crafting bonuses, luck bonuses, and even gathering and combat related ones. You can place down storage chests inside your house to increase the capacity of your local bank in that zone.
I enjoy the fact that when you put a chest down your house, you don't have to go to your house to get into the chest. It just increases the capacity for your bank, the storage shed in that city. That's super nice.
Place down a vast array of cosmetic furniture that also includes housing pets you can interact with, and you can also get access to a fast travel
super nice that they did that, and you don't have to carry all of your resources around with you to craft and stuff like that.
A total of 3 houses. One can be bought at level 20, one at level 40, and the last at level 60. And you can have these spread out across different zones. And that's the basics you need to know when it comes to staking a claim in New World. Thanks so much for watching, and farewell.
Super cool stuff that they've come up with for this game. There's always new stuff to learn. Like, I haven't run into a point where I feel like I've learned everything and there's nothing to learn. Like, that's what's so great about MMOs is there's always something. If they've done the game correctly, there's always something to learn. There's always something to research. And you can a lot of the times go out on the internet and find a lot of the stuff. But if an MMO is done correctly, a new MMO that not like World of Warcraft Classic that's been out for 17 years, if a game is new, there will be lots of things for you to go explore and discover for yourself. And I mean, I sometimes hate the intricacies of or the vagueness of how some of the weapon abilities are stated, but what does it do? It causes me to go out into the world and test those things to see if they work how I imagine they're going to. So I look forward to more of these New World 101s. Like, it's just great to get a basics of how the game works and just to see those entry points. I kind of wish that they would have created these kind of things before, but if they're kind of using YouTube or other internet content creators to do these sort of things, they didn't have access to the game really fully to do all of this kind of stuff until after it launched. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it would have been nice to have this kind of stuff before the game came out to just kind of learn more about the game before you even start to play. So other than that, I will catch you guys in the next video.